All right. Hello, everybody. I see Faquali and Hyena. Hello. We're in the chat just now. So yeah, this is exciting. I don't have any special decorations or anything or whatever, but I have a couple of things prepared, and one of the things I have prepared is um, just kind of it's not uploading very well, but we'll see how things go. But yes, hello Faquali, hello Hyena, and hello everyone else who may be watching now or just in the future in general. But yeah, here we are. Yeah, celebrating 12,000. I thought it'd be funny to say ex Twitter followers, but yeah. In any case, um, I see someone. I see. Oh dear. I got tagged in a tweet just now in a post. I was like, make your own, Brawlhalla relationships, make your own version, that kind of thing. Someone said, I wish to observe your mastery. Labruski, hello. Great to have you here. Good to see all of you. Labruski, a full time first time chatter. I mean, I recognize Labruski from elsewhere, of course. Um, but yeah. So basically, what my plan is, like I said on Twitter, I will. This is basically an AMA. Yeah, stream is lagging. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh dear. Um, well, so yeah, basically, this is going to be an AMA stream. You guys can ask me anything. I do have a bunch of questions that people have submitted over the past couple of weeks. Um, Hyena, you're spectating a D&D game and watching a stream at the same time. It's possible that's part of the problem. Who knows? But yeah, and then also, like I said, I'd like to give a tour of some of my favorite rooms in my home. The problem is, number one, I can't. Every time I've tried to stream from my phone, the stream just cut off early or something. Anytime I lose connection or whatever, it just cuts off. So streaming while holding my phone around doesn't seem to work well. And so what I've done is I've recorded a video of I've recorded a video tour essentially. It's in two parts. One of them is very short. The other one is 12 minutes long, which means it's a very big file. And I've been having an issue getting that file uploaded to onto my computer. So I'm still trying to figure that out. Unfortunately. Still trying to actually here. One idea I have though. I'm gonna try something and hopefully it works. But yeah, that's basically the plan. AMA, just kind of hanging out, time permitting, might chill and well, we're chilling now, but playing a game, maybe Brawlhalla or something or whatever. We shall see. But anyway, so what I'm gonna do, like I said, I have a list of questions here that are just AMA type stuff, and if anyone in the chat wants to ask me something, you are more than welcome to do so. Alin Olivia asked, what are you grateful for today? Pretty simple one to start off with. I did make a post on Twitter earlier today saying that I was grateful for people's reactions to Who's on First. I'll also say, of course, I'm very grateful for 12,000 Twitter followers, ex-Twitter followers. It's kind of crazy. Wasn't sure if I would reach that number. And honestly, I feel like if I entirely migrated to a different social media platform, I don't think I would reach nearly those same numbers because honestly, my follower count is rather inflated by not just bots. That's kind of like normal, but also just kind of giveaway accounts, essentially. So, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I'm grateful for that. Oh dear. Trying to. So another thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to also bring up like Dropbox and other things like that. But I've been having an issue with handling, like, I don't need that many like large video files, but when I have to handle them, it's kind of rough and frustrating. Okay. Yeah, I know my Dropbox is full. I don't need that video anymore. Oh, good. Oh dear. Right now it is 7:40 p.m. Let me know, Labuski, if you heard me say that, because I'm starting to wonder if I'm getting technical difficulties. Gosh. Okay, well. What is the problem? Okay, so I need to figure something out about this. Arno, hello, welcome. Yeah, I'm working on some things. Yep, come in. Yeah, having stream issues, so I'm gonna try to use my phone. Okay.
Yeah, the internet's being.
The internet's usually pretty good, but internet's being a problem right now. So, I'm gonna try hotspot.
Good luck.
Hopefully. Okay, I think we're starting to. I think things might be working. I have my Twitch page up, but I do see it is lagging. I maybe. Okay. Reconnection successful. Yeah, I might have to at this point. Ugh. I'm so ready to. I thought I had everything ready, but apparently I didn't. All right. Oh wait, hold on. How's that, guys? Testing, testing. I think it's working. Yeah, I think things are working now. Okay, excellent. Wait, I do see some lag though. I will say if it turns out to not work after this point, then then I will actually like quit. But things look decent so far as I can tell. Okay. All right, wonderful. I don't know what happened or why. I'm very sorry, guys, for all of that. Man, that must have been very frustrating. I mean, it was very frustrating for me too, obviously. My gosh, who knows? Who knows the mysterious ways of the internet? I don't even know. But it looks like things are working now. I can see everything is squared away. Everything seems to work now. Great. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my 12K X Twitter followers celebration stream. Oh my gosh. What a ride this is turning out to be. But hey, we're here. We're back. We're good. And yeah, proud member of the pre-12K. Well, yeah, I have no idea when. I don't think you can figure out when you. But I mean, Hyena, you've been following me for a while. Like we followed each other for several years at this point. But yeah, so so again, my plan is AMA. I have a list of questions, and I just barely started answering those questions until things went kaput for a bit. I do, hopefully, fingers crossed. I can't seem to stream from my phone. Streaming from my phone has always resulted in issues, but I'm hopeful. I recorded a couple of videos, like I said, and I'm hopeful that will be the next best thing. One of the videos is still being worked. Is still working on uploading it, so we'll see how well that is working. Yeah, I understand. By all means, enjoy D&D, have fun, and yeah, I'll upload the VOD on my YouTube channel. So yeah, but thanks so much for stopping by for Quali. I appreciate it a lot. Okay. Wonderful. Yeah, I guess I'll just get into the questions that I have here. I mean, I guess I already responded. The first question was, what are you thankful for today? I kind of already responded to that, online as well as here, like on Twitter and as well as on here and everything. But yeah, I'm just very grateful to that things. I'm grateful that Twitch is working and my internet is working right now. And I'm grateful for 12,000 followers. I don't really expect to hit any more milestones after this point, I will admit, just because my follower count has been very slow in climbing. But I'm fine with that, honestly. I was fine with 5,000, I was fine with 10,000, and here we are at 12,000. So, yeah, so grateful for a working connection. I know, right? But anyway, the next question I have on here is by Supreme. He asked me, what are 3 things you hope to do by the end of the year? Can be work related or just general enjoyment related. Oh, that reminds me. I said I had an announcement. I can't believe I forgot about this. In all this trying to figure things out, I have an announcement to make, everybody, and I'll post this on Twitter as well, pretty soon. But actually, here, let me. I should have drafted this earlier, but I'm going to draft the tweet, and then I will send the tweet after I share the announcement here. Do. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, yeah. So, and the reason why I'm doing this now is that first of all, I wanted to share my announcement earlier, and second of all, the announcement is kind of connected to some of the things I hope to do by the end of the year. Um, You're grateful one of your friends in English class invited you to a band jam session later. Oh, that's nice. That sounds awesome. But yeah, I've had a couple. I've done a couple. I've had a couple of jam sessions before, and yeah, they're kind of fun. I'm not an incredibly skilled musician, but I have, you know, I play. I have a cello. I have some harmonica. I've done some percussion. I sing and stuff like that. So, um, grateful for the friends I do have, especially the ones from my high school. Been knowing them for like 8 to 9 years at this point. Kind of crazy. Yeah, it is crazy to like know somebody for that long and everything. And yeah, so cello, harmonica. I have some harmonicas. I've played percussion instruments like mallet kind of stuff. A little. I've taken some piano instruction. I've also been in choirs as well. So I just played an offline one shot. That's awesome. That's great. But yeah, those are like the instruments that I can play. Okay, so my announcement is this. You guys may or may not have noticed, a couple months ago that I said I couldn't go to BCX because of financial things or whatever. Well, there's been a change in my circumstances, and I'm going to BCX this year. Cobweb and myself, we're both going. I'm just, yeah. So I know that I know that may not be like the most exciting thing for those of you who are not going, but yeah, I did go last year, but I'm not going to explain exactly what happened, but some things like happened where going to BCX, say hi to Wrenched. Nice. I mean, I don't. Pro players don't usually like. Pro players don't usually say very much to me. We don't have any issues. It's just kind of like, I'm. They're usually not big into lore, but yeah, that's awesome. I'll get to see all the people who are going. I'll get to see them. See you guys there. So, yeah, and. Twitter character count. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Just barely announced on my stream. I'm going to BCX after all. Get me out of here. I've had a very fortuitous change in my circumstances that allow me and Cobweb to go. I've got some plans. I'll share them in the near future. Very excited to see you all there. Also looking for a twos partner. I still need to purchase my BCX tickets, and I'd like to compete in both ones and twos if possible. But yeah. Also, I'd like to dang it. Maybe I'd like to also adjust my Twitter profile name to show that I'm going to BCX. Here we go. Where's the... There, yeah, there it is. There we go. I used the Serendipitous Slam. do I? I don't have a Serendipitous Slam. I didn't think I did anyway. I do use Hammer, for what it's worth. Oh my gosh! Every time I change the name, I have to authenticate my account apparently to show that I'm not a robot trying to change. I've proven that I'm human. Excellent. Okay. Fabulous. That's gonna bug me. Gonna have to do it again because I want like a space between the things. Elon is so frustrating. But yeah. Anyway, but we deal with it somehow. Okay, yeah, I need to authenticate again. At least I don't have like Twitter Blue or X Blue, or at least I'm not verified, because they can pretty much not change their names at all. Yep. Anyway, but yeah, I'm going to BCX, and to answer, I have my own opinions about where Twitter and X are going and stuff like that. We don't need to go into that. Not going to go into that. But in any case, to answer what Supreme asked me, what are 3 things I hope to do by the end of the year? I could name a bunch of things. There are several projects that I'd like to. There are several things that I'd like to do. I'd like to accomplish. But some BCX related projects, I'd like to have a fully playable and like really good quality copy of Odin's Conquest, the Brawlhalla card game that I'm making. Like make a really good, like not just beta version, but like good, like it feels like real cards and like in a box and everything like that. Make one of those by BCX, and I have a plan for that. I'm hoping to like actually make a fully playable Brawlhalla tabletop role-playing game by BCX. It would probably still need some tweaking by that point. It probably won't be finished by then, but I definitely I know the direction I want to go, and I've gotten some good feedback from people, and yeah, absolutely, I'm happy to sign people's things. So Brawlhalla card game, Brawlhalla tabletop role-playing game, and also I'm hoping before BCX, by the end of the year before BCX, to complete. I'm making a physical version of of Brawlhalla lore. I have a physical book that I've bound myself, and I'm like writing the Brawlhalla lore on there basically. And I've only gotten as far as Thatch, which is 10 out of 60 something or whatever. And I'm also gonna have. I'm hoping to get it all caught up to Red Raptor before BCX. So card game, tabletop RPG, and physical lore book that people can sign. But yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's a decent amount of work. It takes about like 20 to 30 minutes per page. So yeah, I've got about 50 more. No wait, I've got about 50 or 60. Actually, yeah, I've got about 50 more legend lore to put down. There are a few other things as well, but I'll talk about some of those things in a later question. But yeah, I hope to get those things done by BCX, and that way I'll be able to have these things to kind of like show off. I mean, I already did Varax, right? I did Varax's page. He was like number 4 or something like that, 3 or 4. So yeah, so there you go. That's Supreme's question. Here's a really good question by Kawa Knight, who is the guy over Moonlit Esports. He asked me, do I ever plan to make video games / Brawlhalla a full-time endeavor, if I could? Also, what's in store for GB in the future? So I should show you the Varax page. It's downstairs. I'd have to leave my desk and like go get it and stuff. But yeah. So the Kawa Knight's first question was, do I ever plan to make video games / Brawlhalla a full-time endeavor if I could? Yeah, later, absolutely. Hyena. Uh, I've honestly really considered. I've thought a lot about whether I could make like Brawlhalla being serendipitous, like being a video game lore master, content creator, or whatever, a full time thing. I've seriously thought about. I mean, I've seriously thought one time I seriously thought about being a full time like dungeon master, like paid dungeon master or something, even a part time paid dungeon master. But you know, I've thought about a lot of these things and like what it would take for me to like really like be full time in content creation. The if BMG ever makes a story mode, they definitely talk to you. I'm not employed by BMG, so they probably, they can definitely ask for my feedback, but since I'm not a developer, I'm not part of the official lore team. Um, they probably won't. I don't expect them to do that. I don't think I will ever really be a full-time content creator. I don't think video games, Brawlhalla, being a lore master will ever be a full-time thing. There are a handful of people that can make it work. Necrit is a good example of a lore master content creator who is able to like make it his full-time job. He has a Patreon. He does streams and things like that and whatever. And to be fair, I have made some money through like Twitch and whatever. The problem is the thing is, in the past 5 years that I've been Serendipitous, I have earned a total of about $300 to $400 over 5 years. So as it is right now, it's definitely not sustainable. Obviously, I could work a lot harder. I could, if I made it a full-time job, I could certainly see if I could earn more, over YouTube and Twitch and stuff. And also, my wife does have a full-time job, as well as I do, as well as I have a full-time job. But the other thing, too, is like my current full-time job, even though, honestly, like if being a content creator were my full-time job, then my librarian job, and that pays very well, quite honestly. There is absolutely no way. Like I would have to be a cute female VTuber or have an OnlyFans or something. I'd have to go like crazy on content to even approach the kind of salary that like on content creation. No, absolutely not. No female variant VTuber. I'm just saying I would have to like Veggie Mama. Hello, welcome. I'm answering some questions, and one question was, do I think I'll ever be a content creator full time? And I was saying that my full time job right now honestly pays really well. That I feel like it would be pretty much impossible for my content creation to like realistically, thinking about it practically, reach the same kind of wages that I'm getting now for my full time job. I am a librarian full time. Yeah, I am an academic librarian. I work in a college, university, something like that. So they pay pretty well, honestly. And my wife also has a full time job. But so this is why. So I use my full time job to fund my hobbies essentially. Plus, if content creation were my full time job, it would be a job. Like I don't know how I would feel about that. And the other issue for me personally is that I don't know how long a career as a content creator would last. As a librarian, it's a pretty stable position, right? Like as long as I, don't mess up my library job, I can pretty much expect to be set almost for life, honestly, unless something ridiculous happens, which that's always a possibility. But if I were to lean into being a content creator full time, who knows how long that would last? Would it last 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? As opposed to like being able to work in libraries and library science for honestly a couple of decades, So it's a matter of stability. It's a matter of reliable money. And I'm honestly happy to keep this as my hobby. Hello, Killer Nowhere 67. Welcome. So anyway, yeah, that's my answer for like, will I, do I ever plan to be a full-time lore master? No. I've thought about it. I've seriously looked into it. I probably could if I really tried, but I don't want this to be my full-time job. I don't want to treat this as my job. I want to always enjoy it. I don't want to be burnt out. So while my full-time job does prevent me from doing some things that I would like, I'd like to be able to do more with Global Breakout. I'd like to be able to do more as a content creator. I'd like to be able to, like maybe go to more lands or things like that. But I've made it this far for this long as Barendipitous. So, and honestly, most people who want to be content creators are probably only really going to be able to do it as a hobby anyway. And so, yeah, exactly. Exactly, Hyena. I'd like to think that in my position right now, I'm a good. I could be a good example that people can look to for, like, a Brawlhalla content creator who has gained some degree of prominence in that community, who is also a full-time family man. And, my faith, my family, my full-time job, and my church, like, volunteer responsibilities, all four of those things are higher, take precedence in my life above my hobbies, which include being Barendipitous and Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. Like, I've decided long ago, like, that that's my priority list in that order. But I will say, kudos to those people who can do a lot more with content. I know Veggie. I know you've done. I've been very impressed with things that you've done, Veggie, with like Lost Tribe and Kingdom and all of that. You do a lot of things. A lot of people in the Brawlhalla community do a lot of things, and I'm very impressed by them. I do what I can with what I'm able to do. Welcome back, Arno. The other question that Kawa Knight from Moonlit asked me was, what's in store for GB in the future? It's a bit tough to, like, basically. I mean, I know you guys haven't seen a lot from GB in like the past, like especially ever since I became CEO of GB. I know you guys haven't seen a lot with it, but again, my full-time job is a big part of that. I do have hopes. I do have hopes for things in the future. There's a bunch of things that need to work out for. I hope to have GB merch. I hope to have Global Breakout merch sometime in the future. There's a lot of things that need to line up in order for that to happen, but that is one of my hopes. And Global Breakout merch would also bring in revenue specifically for Global Breakout, which would be able to fund some other things as well. I am actually working currently with one of our artists to make a webtoon based on some original characters that I have developed over the past couple of years in Global Breakout. And I do have some other plans for those characters, like GB, the character, not as a VTuber, but as a character, Sin and SYN and a couple other things. So I don't expect Global Breakout merch soon, but I'm hopeful that I can get that figured out. But yeah, Killer Nowhere said there's a very big number of content creators that are underrated in the Brawlhalla community. I definitely agree. But anyway, yeah, so Kawa Knight, those are my answers to, like, full-time content creation and what's in store for GB in the future. Left Stick, hello. So great to have you here. It is an honor to have you here. I'm going through my questions right now. Like the AMA kind of portion and everything. I have the list of questions people gave to me, and also if any of you in the chat have questions, by all means, ask me. The next handful of questions was given to me by Taros of Crete, the Twitter account Taros of Crete. He asks, what do you think was the one thing BMG noticed about you to make you their partner? I think it could be one of two things. Well, actually, okay. I think the main thing is that they saw that I had made an entire Brawlhalla lore website. It's a bit like a lore wiki, essentially. It's a bit ironic because I haven't updated that wiki in quite a long time, just because I've been busy with other things and there have been other ways to look up Brawlhalla lore. So I'm still very sorry that I haven't updated that lore wiki. there's just so many things that I want to do and accomplish as Baron Dipodus and as being Brawlhalla lore master and stuff. And but I do think that was kind of one of the things that put me on the map. Plus, in September of 2019, when BMG had like a little community colors giveaway on Twitter where they had some lore questions like who is the national hero of Batavia, and I replied saying that's so easy. I was expecting harder questions. And so the Brawlhalla Twitter account messaged me and said, hey, here's some community color codes. I'm sure you can come up with harder questions. Here's some community color codes, and you can give them away for in your own like lore quiz kind of thing. And I think it was a combination of I think it was a combination of the lore of that lore wiki and that interaction, and also just the fact that no one else was really a lore master. Expired and other people were lore nerds, but no one was ever really a lore master. So the fact that I leaned into that niche so heavily, I think was honestly the big thing that led to Brawlhalla inviting me to be a partnered creator. Because goodness knows I didn't really have much going on as terms of being a YouTuber or a streamer. I wasn't nearly. I've never been nearly at the level of like Crocky or Schwerpy or at this point Swerfed or whatever. Killer Nowhere, you asked how has being a content creator mentally affected you? Sometimes it's been stressful. Sometimes I've had to learn a lot about being someone with fans on the internet. And honestly, sometimes it still kind of terrifies me. I've been on the internet and the Brawlhalla community long enough to be convinced that I could either like things could line up that could lead to me being like you could say canceled, or people like being angry with me or things like that. I know that hasn't happened. I know people say I'm a very wholesome person, but I still do have that concern that there have been people who there have been I'm not going to go into detail but if you've been in the Brawlhalla community long enough, there have been people who have gained a lot of notoriety and a lot of maybe not notoriety, but a lot of fans in the Brawlhalla community, and then all of a sudden it all came crashing down and they just leave entirely and they're just gone, pretty much like publicly ousted. I don't take this for granted, honestly. I don't take being the premier lore master for granted. I know it could end at any point, and so sometimes that is a bit stressful. But I've come to terms with that, I think, at this point, and I'm just happy to do whatever I can with the time that I'm given as Baron Dipodus, honestly. Hyena, you had a question. If you could go back in time, you could change anything you've done differently, would you? There are lots of embarrassing moments in my life that that make me cringe, that I really wish I could have done, better or something like that, or things, stupid, dumb things I've said or whatever. But I kind of have that, sort of sappy answer of all of those things did make me who I am, and I'm happy with who I am. So I don't think I would change anything. I don't think I would change anything really. There might be a handful of things where I'm like, Baron, you could have said this thing differently, or maybe I've embarrassed myself in a social situation or something or whatever. Just yeah. The interaction with Wrenched. You remember that, do you? Yeah, Wrenched and I think we had a bit. I think Wrenched and I are both very much over it. I don't think Wrenched has anything against me. I don't have anything against him. But yeah, Wrenched and I, we have differing opinions about Brawlhalla. We've had differing opinions about Brawlhalla. I probably wouldn't have leaned so heavily into that, but some of the things that I was saying with Wrenched, and I didn't need to feed into any of the drama that was happening at the time. And also I will say it did irk me, like it did bother me when Wrench was saying that I was white knighting for BMG when I didn't believe I was doing that at all. But um, you know, we both said, you know, I have nothing against him. I hope you have nothing against me. I probably would have done some of those interactions a bit differently. Probably would have been a bit more wise. It is what it is. So, but yeah, overall, I'm happy with. Yeah, Arno, a question: what is my favorite archetype in Brawlhalla? Characters that are related to one another lore-wise. I mean, I'm a sucker for steampunk, so you know, it's one of the main reasons I like Scarlet a lot. If you're talking about like, yeah, it's good to have like different opinions and different and whatever. You know, that's what makes us a human and what makes us humanity. In terms and Arno, in terms of like different groups and things like that. I don't know. Like I do really like, you know, Order of the Exalted Lion is really cool. More space stuff. I've kind of, I mean, you know, I've kind of the stuff that BMG has been doing with Terminus though. Like that's really cool. I'd love to continue to see more of that and more of like Loki's grand plan. I have a lore theory video that I hope to make in the near future, just kind of like where I talk about what my thoughts are and what might be coming to the lore. I don't know. I have no inside information, but anyway, there's that. Another question from Taros of Crete: what was the character you first played in this game? I Van Hyena, when will Vrax War address? Princess Bubblegum. I know you don't like Princess Bubblegum, but anyway, there you go. What was the character I first played in this game? I don't remember the first character I played. My main that I started with was Scarlet, right? And I pretty much stuck with Scarlet mostly. I do like I go back and forth like just I try to have all of the legends at least at level 10, basically. So I you know I like to think of myself as like kind of well rounded, but yeah, Scarlet is probably like my first real main, and I've stuck with that definitely. Another question from Taros of Crete: was this also the character that made you like the game, or was it another? If the latter, which one was it? So I did like Scarlet as a steampunk character. I thought that was cool. I liked her weapons. I liked the weapons she was using. I liked her design. I don't think Scarlet alone was the reason I liked the game. I think I liked the game. First of all, I liked Brawlhalla initially because it was just fun to play. I just kept playing it for hours, and I'm like, this is like a really fun cartoony version of Smash Brothers. You know, that's the only thing I had to go off of at the time, and but it was just fun to play. It made it like it was easy to feel like cool playing the game, like you know, doing things like the cool things the weapons were doing and whatever. So it was just the fun accessibility of the gameplay that kind of like got me started playing, but then it was of course the lore that got me hooked essentially. So I don't think there was any one initial like individual character that really made me like love the game. I like the general style, I like the general feel of the gameplay, and I obviously like the lore. Oh wow, Pickles! Whoa, thank you so much for the raid. That's hello, everybody. Wow. Thanks, guys. Basically, yeah, I'm doing an AMA right now. I'm going through some pre-submitted questions. But Pickles, thank you very much. Wow, that is awesome. Thanks so much for the raid. Very very kind of you to do that. I hope your stream was fun, and yeah. Oh dear. Something in my chat here. I need to... Oh, here we go. Perfect. Oh my gosh. You want to offer a promotion for my channel? No. Oops. There we go. Oh gosh, I need to catch up on chat here. What's up? Hello, everybody. Yeah, I banned the bot. Don't worry. I'm really tired. So, but yeah. Thank you, Pickles. I appreciate it. Wait, is this our Baron? I don't know exactly what you mean by our Baron, but bro really thought he was the guy. um, anyway, oh dear. Yeah, I need to do something here with. Oh, here, gotcha. Oh, perfect. Okay. Now I need to put it back in my. There we go. I need to catching up on chat here. Arno, oh yeah, same. I like beating up bots my siblings because we didn't have any internet at the time. Truly says a lot about the game when offline is just as good. Anyway, is this KC Baron? I'm not part of Kingdom. No, this is GB Baron. But anyway, yeah, Barendipitous. Is there someone named Baron in like Kingdom or something, or in some other org or whatever? If so, that's kind of funny. But yeah, I'm the lore master. Actually, the developers last year called me the premier lore master. I was very honored to get this developer appreciation award at BCX last year. So, you know, there's that. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thought you. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Gosi Best. By the way, Killer. I'd like to try to keep everything PG-13. So please. I thought I banned certain swear words in my chat, but just in the future, I guess I'll have to ban that particular one as well. Just in the future, keep that in mind. You're fine for now. But yeah, no worries. Yeah, okay, cool. There's a Baron in what was it, Kingdom or something like that. Cool. I mean, Baron, Duke, Duchess, Marquis. These kind of like peerage, like royalty terms or whatever. They're cool. Yeah, I don't blame anyone else for. But as far as I know, I'm the only one who calls themselves Barendipitous. So there we go. Yeah, I have a couple of questions here. And by the way, anyone in chat, you're welcome to ask me anything you'd like. I just have a couple more questions here from like pre-submitted for AMA kind of stuff. Sora, the Brawlhalla, the Brawlhalla moderator, not a dev, but like a moderator for Brawlhalla streams, and also a friend of the stream here. Sora asked me a couple of questions. Do you have a favorite piece of Brawlhalla lore? If yes, what is it? I don't know. I just love how connected it all is, honestly. I like the connections. I like that it's pretty much like consistent, and there's lots of room to expand pretty much anywhere. One good example of this is that Thatch is a very early legend in Brawlhalla, right? He's like the 10th legend in the whole game out of like 60 plus whatever. But then when Mako was released a couple years ago, it was revealed that Thatch is actually a watered down. Thatch is Poseidon, but struck down by Zeus, and now he's Thatch. So Thatch is Poseidon. He's just like a watered down version of Poseidon, and I do use that pun intentionally. But yeah, that's just something that could happen. There's lots of stuff going on with the battle pass right now, going on with Terminus. We know what Terminus looks like now. We know that Loki's planning something. Faye, hello, welcome, thank you very much. Yeah, and then Sora has a non-Brawlhalla question. Do I have a favorite comfort food? I like things like burritos, chips and whatever. Yeah, left stick down. That's the THNX symbol. The Terminus hybrid network and Biotech X symbol. But yeah, I have a feeling Loki's planning something. I'm going to talk more about it in my upcoming lore theory rant video, whatever. Not rant, but just kind of like a good rant, kind of like going on and on about like what I think is happening. But yeah. Do I think we'll get Loki as a playable character? I think it could go either way, honestly. So it would be cool. Like, we have Thor as a playable character, obviously, but who else is a very significant Norse mythology and also lore, like very important character in Norse mythology and lore? Odin. but we don't have Odin as a playable legend. And I think the reason we don't have Odin as a playable legend is Odin is not fighting in the tournament in Valhalla. He organized the grand tournament. He's spectating it. I would not be surprised if, maybe we might be able to see what Loki looks like, although we don't know what Odin looks like. It would be cool to have Loki as a playable legend, and maybe he would join the grand tournament. But also, like, he's got his own like plans, and I don't know if he would join the grand tournament, unless there was a reason for him to do that. So, would I like Loki as a playable character? Absolutely. Do I think he will be a playable character? I'm a bit more inclined to say that he might be kind of like in the boat of Odin, where he's a prominent figure in the lore. Like his presence is there in the lore, but he's not playable. Because all the characters that are playable, they are playable because they participate in Odin's grand tournament in Valhalla. And the reason why we get to play as Thor is, in Thor's lore, he specifically has been jumping into the bleachers, right? Like, it says in his lore that he jumps into the bleachers and like joins in, right? Like he didn't want to watch anymore, he wanted to participate. And I don't really know how many other Norse gods or Valhallans are going to be doing that. So, but yeah, I mean, we do have Thea. Thea is a like kind of like demigod. She's related to Greek gods and mythical figures and whatever. But also, like, and also consider this too. We have Zariel, but we do not have Zariel's patron, Palladium. Palladium is like the Odin of Elysium, right? We don't have Palladium. Palladium sent Zariel down to check out Odin's army. We do have Thatch, but Thatch probably doesn't really realize that he's Poseidon, and so that's kind of a bit of an exception. But yeah, if Odin jumps in the middle of the battle, that would be crazy. But so realistically, I don't really think Loki will be a playable legend, but I do believe, like, as much as I would like that, but I do believe that Loki will continue to be a prominent figure in the lore. I believe we will hear more from him, kind of like Odin or Landstar Champion or whatever kind of a thing, right? But yeah, Sora, yeah. Oh yeah, back to Sora's question. Favorite comfort food? Yeah, honestly, I mean, I like a lot of just like general comfort foods, pizza, like burritos, like cheese flavored chips, that kind of thing. But yeah. And then I have one more submitted question from Mod Hala. What does being the lore master feel like? When people have a lore question, they will very likely turn to you for answers. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of surreal sometimes to be like the lore master of the Brawlhalla community, and honestly, it's a great honor to be considered that, because I think you have now in lots of other like franchises that have a bit of a lore focus, like Legend of Zelda or Five Nights at Freddy's or League of Legends or something like that. There could be like one lore master, but sometimes, especially for Legend of Zelda, there can be like a community of lore masters, of like prominent lore masters and that kind of thing. It just so happens that in the Brawlhalla community, while I know there are a good number of people who like the lore or who love the lore, no one has really leaned into that as their identity for their identity in the community. So Baron Five Nights at Freddy's, not really. I'm very aware of Five Nights at Freddy's, and I've seen the recent movie trailer. I've watched a lot of game theory videos about Five Nights at Freddy's, but it's not really the franchise for me. The lore is a bit too convoluted for me, and sometimes it's convoluted. Sometimes it's complicated for the sake of being complicated, and I don't really like that. So there are some indie games that fall into that trap of like, oh, let's make a big mystery for everyone to solve, and they're so concerned about like throwing curveballs that they're kind of defined by the curveballs, and that just makes things a bit messy. I would rather, like, if you're gonna make a story or if you're gonna have lore, I would rather you have a passion for your own like world building instead of focusing on. Anyway, yeah. Instead of focusing on trying to be like all tricky and clever, essentially. Um, I think good lore is kind of something that like builds up over time and stuff like that. Killer, very good question. Have I played Magic the Gathering or card games? I love card games, honestly. Like if I weren't so much into Brawlhalla, I probably definitely would be very much into more. Would be more into card games. I have a lot of Pokemon cards, Digimon cards. I have like a handful of Magic cards, a handful of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, that kind of thing. But yeah. Yeah, I love it. It's I also love like I've played a lot of Hearthstone. I played a lot of Marvel Snap. Well, I played Marvel Snap now. I played a lot of Legend of Runeterra. I played a lot of Hearthstone. But the game that I'm playing now, the card game I'm playing now, is Marvel Snap. I love that a lot. That game. So yeah, I love card games, honestly. And yeah, and I mean, I'm making a Brawlhalla card game using mostly mechanics from Marvel Snap, but also a mechanic from the Digimon card game as well. Sora, hello. I already answered your questions, but have I played Legend of Runeterra? Yes, I played a lot of Legend of Runeterra. Then I kind of lost interest after a little bit because the story modes, especially, kind of like petered out a little bit. But yeah, Sora, to quickly answer your questions, my favorite part of Brawlhalla lore is just how connected it is generally, and then also favorite comfort food. I like food in general. I'm a little bit of a picky eater, but I love like pepperoni or cheese pizza, like cheesy chips or whatever, cheese flavored chips, burritos and that kind of thing. But yeah, I think. But anyway, going back to the card game question. I think Hearthstone is very well designed, but I kind of lost interest over time with that. Legend of Runeterra is a fantastic game, but it kind of also later on felt a bit bloated with all the different keywords and all of that and everything. Marvel Snap, I just love it. Marvel Snap is just so incredibly accessible in terms of game mechanics, and I've been playing that game since since it globally launched in October. Yeah, I like cheesy foods, and yeah, yeah, no problem, Sora. But yeah, if I had the time, I would definitely play like the Pokemon card game, the Digimon card game, and I've played Magic with my family a little bit. Like we have a small collection of Magic cards that we like share between us to like play some like basic decks or whatever. So yeah, I like card games. I like it and whatever. Do I have a favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card? Honestly, I've almost never played Yu-Gi-Oh. I'll be honest. I do know generally how Yu-Gi-Oh works. I've watched the first season of the anime and I played it on like mobile. But my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh cards tend to be like do they look cool? So like I like Time Wizard. It's a fun little character in the anime, and I like the way Time Wizard looks. There's also a Mr. Volcano card that I have that looks really cool. But yeah, I think also like when I was younger, I didn't really like Yu-Gi-Oh that much because some of the art was a bit too like edgy for me, if that makes sense. Sometimes Yu-Gi-Oh art kind of like I don't mind it as much anymore, but sometimes Yu-Gi-Oh card art kind of like leans really heavily into like this sinewy skeleton or like this dark like devilish character and all that kind of stuff. As a kid, I was a little more like I didn't like. I liked Pokemon and Digimon more than that. So, but it doesn't. I don't mind it as much anymore. Yeah. And by the way, I have not yet done my like house tour thing. I've basically been waiting for a couple of videos to upload, so that I can like I can't go around and stream from my phone because I have issues streaming from my phone, technical issues. But I've done the next best thing, and I've recorded a couple of videos, and I will show you guys the videos so that you can see, whatever. And by the way, in the videos, I did show off my card collection, or at least most of it. My favorite Digimon, Let's see. I talked about this a bit when I opened Digimon cards a couple weeks ago. But I think so. I only really watched the first three Digimon like series as well as the Digimon movie. So I've never really gotten Digimon like in its later stages. I really liked so of the original six kids, I really liked Matt and Izzy. Those are like my favorite characters, and so they're Digimon. I believe so. Izzy has Tentomon, the bug guy, and Matt had Gabumon, the like kind of like tusk like seal kind of like Digimon. So I like those. There was also a really cool Digimon card that I never had as when I was a kid, but I have this card now in the new Digimon card game. Boltmon is like this Frankenstein's monster creature that has like a bunch of bolts on his hands and whatever. But yeah, yeah, I really like Tentomon because you're like, Izzy, you need to stop. You need to focus on what's going on, and he has this like this kind of fun like like empathetic but also kind of silly voice. I liked it. Funny thing, you never watched Pokemon, Digimon, or Yu-Gi-Oh? Yeah, I mean fair enough. But yeah, I've answered all of the submitted, pre-submitted AMA questions. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up the videos that I have to kind of give a little bit of a tour of my like office, this room, the library in my house, and also the game room in my house. So let me. Okay, one of them's still downloading, but I will at the very least have this one. Oops. Okay. So like I said, I have two videos. One of them is much shorter than the other. One of them is like less than a minute long. This one is. Here, let me go to presentation mode real quick. Here we go. Okay. So, does it work? Come on. Apparently not. Oh, come on. Yeah, let me try this. Ah, there we go. Okay. So this first video is just kind of like a... there's a shelf in a different room in my house. And on that shelf is a bunch of... movies and games. And I thought it'd be fun to show some of those off. I'm going to like pause here and there to kind of like make some comments and here and there and stuff. But this is like our movie, like mine and Cobweb's like movie and our video game collection. Yeah, my wife loves Dune. She's very excited for Dune 2. So yeah, I just kind of like pan over. By the way, we also love this right here, Cabin Pressure. This is a BBC audio like comedy that featured Benedict Cumberbatch before he was like in Sherlock and stuff like that. Yeah, the Lego Movie, Lego Batman, those are some of my favorite movies of all time, along with the Mario movie. Just here, yeah. Yeah, let me also just kind of like and pause. All right, and this gets into this gets into some of our GameCube games. This is not all of the GameCube games that like me and my siblings owned. This is just like some of my favorites that I kind of like that I, with permission, took from my parents' house, and I have just kind of sitting there. Essentially, I also do have my GameCube, like the GameCube as well, but it doesn't seem to play nice with like more modern TVs. There's a delay that I'm trying to figure out. But yeah, Bionicle, like I have lots of wonderful memories of pretty much all of these games. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, one of my top 5 GameCube games ever. I'll talk about Legos later. But yeah, this is basically my time to sort of like geek out about like fun stuff that I have and stuff. So there's a small selection of the GameCube games I have, and now we're getting into the Switch games. Fire Emblem Engage, Xenoblade 3, Super Mario Odyssey. I know you can't see it very well. I'll just kind of say it right here. Fire Emblem 3 Heroes, fantastic game. Just Dance 2019. My wife likes Just Dance. Do I have any Bionicles currently? Any Bionicles I had are at my parents' house. Like all the toys that I grew up with are pretty much there. So I think like we have like OG Bionicles. I just don't have them in my house. Let's see here. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Spyro Reignited Trilogy, Octopath Traveler, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Super Mario 3D All Stars, Pokemon Legends Arceus. My wife loved that game. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I loved playing that on the Wii. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Fantastic game. Hyrule Warriors. I haven't finished that. My wife really loved Animal Crossing, New Horizons. Mario Kart 8, of course, a classic. Fire Emblem 3 Hopes. Have not finished that. My wife really likes Pokemon Violet. Xenoblade 2 and Xenoblade 3. We have both of those. I still need to finish Xenoblade 3. I'm in like the end game of it. I have Advance Wars because Advance Wars 2 was one of my favorite Game Boy Advance games. Pokemon Shining Pearl, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and of course Breath of the Wild. Of course, Tears of the Kingdom, definitely one of my top games. These 3DS games, I never really had a 3DS. My sister had a 3DS, Bionicle history is kind of crazy. They bet all on Bionicle and it worked. I've watched a few documentaries about it. But yeah, this 3DS was never mine. It was my sister's. But I also have a lot more Switch games digitally as well. Like I have Ace Attorney Chronicles. I also have the original Ace Attorney trilogy and a bunch of other stuff. But my sister let me just kind of like, have the 3DS games and stuff. So this is why, she loved Nancy Drew, Nintendogs, Rhythm Heaven, and stuff like that, right? And by the way, this thing right here, this is the disc that comes with the attachment you can put in your GameCube that lets you play Game Boy games on your GameCube. So yeah, pretty happy about that. The 3DS is back there. It's a Nintendogs 3DS. So yeah, definitely my sister's. Now we'll go to the other shelf here. You can't see all the videos here, but probably like some Disney stuff and whatever. My wife and I, we love Lord of the Rings, so we have the extended editions. We also, if you couldn't tell, we love Studio Ghibli movies, so we have most of them here. West Wing is probably one of my favorite TV shows. So we have like all the DVDs and everything. Of course, Star Wars, Harry Potter, we've grown up on those things. I've never seen Stargate or Stargate Atlantis, but my wife loves that show. So that's why we have this. I watched like one episode of Stargate, and sometimes when like parasites are involved, I don't really like it that much. So my wife understands. It's fine. And then this is kind of like the end right here. This is like Avatar Last Airbender, right? Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Thank my wife for that. She introduced me to Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. She also showed me Your Name. That was a very heart-wrenching movie. And then these are the Marvel movies that we have. These are just our favorites, basically. I guess we don't have Avengers Endgame, but apart from that, these are pretty much most of our favorite ones. So that's pretty much it for this video, I believe. Yeah, that's it. And then the nice thing is, I believe the other video has been downloaded. So let me... Okay, so this is the long one. This is like the... the aspect ratio is a bit different. And I don't think there are times where I turn the phone sideways, and I don't think I can rotate video. Control-Shift-R. Okay. Perfect. Okay, wonderful. Vertical fill. This is basically just me walking around with my phone. So I'm going to show you guys 3 rooms. The library. Oh, thank you very much, Killer Nowhere. Thank you very much for hanging out here. And I'm gonna download the VOD of this stream on YouTube, so you can catch the rest of this later. I'm gonna show you 3 rooms in my house: our library, our game room, and this room right here, the office/craft room. So I decided to start with the library. And I'll, turn off the sound for it. And once again, I'm gonna pause here and there. So this is what the library looks like. We have this nice little nook here next to the stairs. I pan over here because tomorrow, actually, we're going to have a really big like canvas Zelda artwork hung up in that space right there. It's happening tomorrow, unfortunately, so I can't show it to you right now, but I will take a picture of it and I'll post it on Twitter, and so you guys can see it. It's this really lovely piece of fan art that, and we purchased the print on Etsy, and basically it's Link reading some books in the ruined Hyrule Castle library. And I figured that was perfect because my wife and I, we both love Legend of Zelda, and being a librarian, it's very fitting, and it's just a very beautiful piece. So we purchased it on canvas, and it's a big like 4 feet by 4 feet kind of thing. It's going to fill that area. So I'll post a picture of that when it's hung up tomorrow. But anyway, back to the library. We just have a bunch of like knickknacks here. Like I have a coin collection in this can here, but I didn't show it off. If there's anything you guys want to see, let me know, and I'm willing to like take a moment to like step away from the desk and like grab it and stuff. But like I have a bit of a coin collection here, and here's where we're showing some of our like more display books here. So we have the full Harry Potter book collection. You know, of course, say what you will about the author and everything in the Harry Potter series, but my wife and I did grow up on the Harry Potter series, and specifically these editions. This American edition with these specific illustrations and book covers. So we are happy to have, you know, we appreciate the memories that we had as kids and teenagers with the Harry Potter books and movies. So that's why we have those. Also, Thrawn is my wife's favorite Star Wars book. And she has convinced me that Thrawn, next to Darth Vader, is like the best Star Wars villain. So anyway, more Star Wars books, again, courtesy of Cobweb, my wife. Most of the books you're going to see are Cobwebs, honestly. There are some Canadian coins up there. It's kind of like showing more like display books and stuff. Like various series and everything. Again, more Cobwebs books. Okay, so this top shelf here, you'll see Georgette Heyer. A lot of them. Georgette Heyer writes period dramas, so like the kind of like Pride and Prejudice, Jane Eyre, that kind of thing, right? So period dramas, period pieces. My wife loves Georgette Heyer books. Obviously, these are not even all of them. Like anytime she finds Georgette Heyer books in like a thrift store or something, she gets them instantly. That's how we have so many of those. And there were other series in the bottom there. Let's see, what were they actually? Oh, come on. There we go. Yeah, Skullduggery, I don't really know anything about it, but Cobweb likes it. Yeah, look at all those Georgette Heyer books. She's even like re-listening to some of them on audiobook as well. I also wanted to show off Canadian coins. I also wanted to show off this thing here. So this is a model that Cobweb and I built like earlier this year. So this is the first time we ever built something like this. She really loves like anything like Japanese, or whatever, and it has interior lighting. So we had to assemble all of this according to specific instructions by hand, and we glued all of this together piece by piece. And some of it is a little bit sloppy, but honestly, we are incredibly proud of how this turned out. Technically, there's supposed to be a little light here, but a little mistake, but it works, honestly. And so there's furniture in there and all that. We're very proud of that. A little poster of Thrawn. Yeah, like really adorable. It was an experience constructing that little tea house thing. I think it's meant to be a tea house. We had like a lot of super glue on our fingers and stuff, but used X-Acto knives a lot, and like it was. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's really lovely. It's really cute. We're very happy with it. Little poster of Thrawn here, of course, to kind of fill this space. And now, so almost all of the Legos that I played with growing up are at my parents' house. But is Rebels my favorite Star Wars show? Honestly, so I love Rebels and Mandalorian and even Book of Boba Fett. But yeah, I love Thrawn in Rebels. Oh, Left Stick, you asked me what my favorite Valhalla stage was. Um, Honestly, so it was Miami Dome for a while, if nothing else because of the music. But I think I just love Battle Pass stages. If nothing else, for like the beautiful, like gorgeous backgrounds. Mostly Brawlhalla stages tend to be like fairly simple in design, but it kind of has to be, and I get it. So I more admire like the art and the vibe of different stages. So anyway, yeah. Have I ever thought of building a Gundam? It might be fun, but like I might need a little while before I build another like meticulous model thing. So in terms of Legos, most of the Legos that I played with as a kid are at my parents' house. But my mom ended up getting a bunch of these. Like, do you remember Lego Dimensions? It was this like video game. I don't even have the game, but it was like this kind of like what you do with Amiibos or like Disney Infinity. There's a Lego version of that, and so there's a bunch of these like individual like little Lego Dimensions kits that my mom just ended up like buying in bulk, and so like just a bunch of them at once. And so we have a bunch of these little Lego things here. So we have Doctor Who with the canine thing. My wife is the Doctor Who fan, by the way. I don't know much about it. With a TARDIS. Then we have Wicked Witch of the West and Flying Monkey for Wizard of Oz. Then we got some Lord of the Rings stuff. So Gimli, Legolas, and Gollum with Shelob. I ever decided to get a Gundam. Hit. I don't have any memories with Gundam. That's the other thing too. Like I don't have an interest in Gundam specifically. And then we have Good Cop. So we have Good Cop, Bad Cop. I have it on the Good Cop face because it's really cute, but he does have the Bad Cop face on the other side of his head. For the Lego Movie. And then yeah, just like more books. So these books right here, these are like what if Disney was edgy? It's kind of like fan fiction and stuff. That is true. Robots are cool. So yeah, Looking Glass Wars. Actually, so all the books on these tall bookshelves have been arranged by author's last name for the most part. There's also some souvenirs here. So this is a little shot glass from Hoover Dam. Hoover Dam's really cool. Especially if you're in America, if you ever get a chance to visit the Hoover Dam. There's a lot of really cool like Art Deco architecture there. They have tours there and stuff like that. So Hoover Dam. I remember reading Peter and the Starcatchers. Pride and Prejudice, Austen or whatever. A tiny little Nutella jar. Like I love Nutella. Love. I guess it's another comfort food. Nutella, absolutely. And someone found this tiny. It had actual Nutella in it. So I scraped it out. I cleaned it up, and now it's a little souvenir thing. And then I like going to like theatrical shows. So like going to different like theaters and whatever, and like Utah Shakespeare Festival is one of the ones that I've been to, and so there's a fun little shot glass there. We don't even drink alcohol. My wife and I, we don't drink alcohol at all, but we like the souvenir aspect of it. So anyway, more books. This little carved wooden dolphin thing was kind of like given a bit spontaneously by an older couple. I could drink water in them. That's true. Yeah. Ender's Game, yeah, that's definitely a staple in sci-fi. Little Eiffel Tower thing, really like that. And a little cannon. I think that's a pencil sharpener as well. Like just below the barrel, you can like sharpen the pencil. Thank you for reminding me I have water. Had some fruit punch in this one. Also, next to this cannon, I have this little bullet shell casing. This is actually from my grandfather's funeral. One of my grandfathers was a war veteran, and so he had a bit of a military funeral, and so there was like a I guess like a salute squad that had like rifles, and they fired them in the air. They fired several rounds, and then they invited people to like come and collect however many, like collect shells if they wanted to. So that's just like a bullet casing, probably about this big, entirely empty, but I kept that from my grandfather's funeral. More books. That's like a little bell with a little gem in it. You can't see it very well, but those like pieces of glass blocks that have like a little 3D picture in it. I think that's a city like either New York or Seattle or Washington D.C. or something like that. That's a really cool seashell. I don't remember exactly where I got that. That's a so this is a bit of a like a religious thing. That's called a prayer rock. There's a scripture on it as well, and the scripture is just kind of it's a verse. It's a Latter-day Saint scripture that is a reminder of like to pray essentially. The idea was my wife got this as a teenager for like a church activity. The idea was that you would put the rock on your bed or on your pillow to remind yourself to say your prayers before you go to bed, and then after you do that, you put the rock on the ground so that when you wake up in the morning, it reminds you to say a prayer in the morning. It's kind of like a cute little like thing for kids or teenagers or whatever, and so she just kept it for whatever reason. That's a really cool like desert rock that I found a number of years ago. This, by the way, the complete Chronicles of Narnia right there. I'm very, very happy about that. But yeah, this is if you ever heard of a Pinewood Derbies, I've done a few of those. And like a number of years ago, my father-in-law helped me to kind of, my father-in-law is very handy and he kind of like helped me craft this Pikachu car. It doesn't really, the car doesn't, it's not the fastest in the world, but you know, I'm happy with my little paint job. And then this is a little, so because I like burritos, my sister likes to give me burrito or tortilla themed presents. And so this was one of them for like Christmas and birthday. This is one of them. This is a little cat wrapped in a burrito, a little plushie. So anyway, yeah. I think his name is Jazito. More Legos. We have Emmett with his cool construct. We have a spaceship. We have Benny the astronaut. And then we have, of course, Unikitty. Really adorable. Some Powerpuff Girls stuff with the phone. And this is like a squid kind of thing. And probably one of my favorites, Portal. We have a turret. We have Chell. And we have the companion cube. So I was honestly kind of shocked. And I'm like, Lego made this? That's awesome. That's cool. Real gamer moment, you know? Anyway, the books continue. You'll also see these 3 wands here. I crafted each of those wands. Some of them had required more work than others. I've been to a few like fantasy and like Harry Potter themed parties like throughout my life, and so these wands have been useful as props for those things. For these 2 here, I just kind of like I made some like cool little deck. I painted hot glue. I just put hot glue on a little wooden stick and I painted it and stuff. Spaceship. Thank you. I really like this longer wand here. I wanted to paint it a copper color with like some oxidized, and the green is like oxidizing, essentially, like oxidation, like when copper gets like more green. I wanted to have that kind of feel for a wand. I thought it was really cool, and that's just from a straight up twig that I sanded and then painted. Yes, we do have Twilight. No, we don't have the other books, but you know, it exists. Oh yeah, a little Mickey Mouse charm and a little nugget of gold from a little Renaissance fair. This little thing right here. This is a series of 4 little books by Maurice Sendak, I believe. So it's got like Pierre, alligators all around, you know, and like little stories by Maurice Sendak. And I have this because this was in my grandparents' house, and I remember reading these little books as a kid, and I commented on that a few years ago, and my grandmother said, "Yeah, why don't you go ahead and take it?" I think she was giving some stuff away, and she, you know, let me have it essentially. So that was nice. Yeah, there we go. Alligators all around, Pierre, chicken soup with rice, and one was Johnny. So yeah, just little tiny books, like nice little childhood collection there. Yeah, little Nick Fury figurine. I'd use this to represent big monsters in D&D, because if you have a grid map and you just put this Nick Fury thing on there, he takes up a bunch of space. So he's a good representation of like a dragon or a giant or a Tarrasque or something. But yeah, fun little R2-D2 sketch that I got from somebody. I got this from a Kickstarter. This is SCP-173, the very first SCP. And this is like an acrylic stand of an artist rendition of it. And this is a rendition after the SCP Wiki just needed to like change their official image and stuff. So Anyway, Sora. Oh yeah, and actually, yeah, Sora. That reminds me when my grandfather died. Also, my grandmother said that I could pick up a few things. I have like a briefcase. I have a glass chess set that belonged to him, and I have a few harmonicas that belong to him, and I think at least one like necktie as well. So anyway, yeah. No, Star Wars again. Little ship in a bottle. Lord of the Rings. Another just kind of little model ship. Nothing too crazy there. We love Brandon Sanderson, by the way. We are huge Brandon Sanderson fans. We have Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians and that series. We have the Mistborn series and stuff like that. So, yeah, Brandon Sanderson is definitely one of our favorite authors. So you'll see that. Here we go. So I feel like gaming things here. So the little wristwatches, the Mario one and the Peach one, those are from Super Nintendo World from the Universal. From Universal Studios Park in California. My wife and I were very lucky to be able to go to Super Nintendo World on the day it opened. Like we got very lucky with lines and reservations and stuff like that, and we were able to go and we got these wristwatches there. We got to ride the ride there and just bask in the Mario landscape all around us. It was really cool, and plus the rest of the park was really fun as well. But But yeah, we got those watches. And of course, a little Link's Awakening amiibo. That's the only amiibo I have. Amiibo are expensive. I'd love to get more amiibo, but I need to save money for like other like fun things as well. But so I'm very happy to have that Link amiibo. That's one of my favorites. And then just kind of looking down here, there's this little baby book, The ABCs of Gaming. So it's got like, I don't remember all the letters, but like G is for glitch. C is for controller, and it really is like a little cardboard like baby book. My wife and I got that for Christmas a few years ago. So so we have. So when children come along, I don't know when that will happen. Hopefully, whatever. G, like I said, G is for glitch in the book. We also have the original Howl's Moving Castle in there. Well, like a book. Whatever. All my friends are dead. All my friends are still dead. Also, this is kind of like where our graphic novels are. We don't have a lot, unfortunately. We have, because from Rahala, we have Skip Beat. My wife likes Skip Beat. Me and my wife, I read a fair amount of webtoons, but my favorite webtoon, bar none, and this is my wife's favorite as well, is Cursed Princess Club. So we're getting the physical versions. There's more volumes to come, but we have the first 2 volumes at the very least. There's a Dune graphic novel as well, and just kind of, yeah. And there's some little bookmarks there, Keep Calm and Carry On and stuff like that. Yeah, Howl's Moving Castle and, other stuff. That's pretty much our book collection, at least in the library. And so then we're moving on to like the pictures hung up. I was given this by a former coworker. So I just still have this because again, my wife and I have a lot of memories with Harry Potter, and of course, now I have I have complicated thoughts and feelings about the franchise, but I still have memories. So I do have this. When I was a kid, I considered myself Hufflepuff, and my wife considered herself Slytherin. So these are cool. So there's 3 of these. This is of course the Cheshire Cat. And if you look closely, it's made up of words. And so it's like text from Alice in Wonderland. All right. And here we have Nightmare Before Christmas, where you have text from the song that he sings on there. And then we have Little Red Riding Hood with text from that as well. Cool stuff that my wife brought. And this is the fun one that we have. Okay, a little bit of explanation. So this is a piece of fan art that my wife got framed and whatever. She didn't make it. Someone else, a pretty good artist did. Whatever. This combines the Hobbit movies with BBC Sherlock. Okay, so if you remember in BBC Sherlock, Martin Freeman is Watson and Benedict Cumberbatch is Sherlock. In The Hobbit, Martin Freeman is Bilbo Baggins and Benedict Cumberbatch is Smaug the Dragon. So this art piece combines the two. And you can see that it's Bilbo and Smaug, but they're also kind of dressed like Watson and Sherlock in BBC. So the text says, so Bilbo, well, I'll say Martin Freeman is saying, "I'll have you know that it was very inconvenient, you darn-minded psychopath, but I came anyway." And then Smaug says, "I'm not a psychopath, I'm a high-functioning sociopath. Did you bring me a mystery?" So those quotes are kind of nods to BBC Sherlock, where you can see how the idea is that Bilbo/Watson traveled all this way to get to Smaug/Sherlock, and saying it was very inconvenient. So yeah, we love it. We're big fans of The Hobbit and BBC Sherlock. So yeah, you kind of see there just kind of this fun little crossover piece, really. So yeah, that is our library, a little nook. We don't use this very much, but it's kind of there to like store our books and be a cozy little nook and whatever. So that is one of the 3 rooms. So let's move on to the second room here. So this is the office. This is this room right here. I'm going to show various aspects of it. There's a lot going on here. We call it the office. That's a mannequin. So like I need to remind myself that the mannequin is there because it's kind of almost the same height and like it's a similar height and build to Cobweb. So and like, it's wearing a dress that she's like trying to make and stuff. So anyway, we call it the office. We call it the crafting room as well because you can see it's kind of like split in half a little bit. There's a bunch of craft stuff. Hearing you read out the quotes was hilarious. I have a second life. Yeah, no, absolutely not. One wife is enough. She is my favorite person in the world. I'm not having a second one. Absolutely not, no. But there's a bunch of craft stuff in there. I'm not going to get too deep into that. There's a bunch of books in there. You can see this is the setup and everything. Oh my gosh, I didn't show off the pins. Ah, frick. Okay, I'm going to need to... Give me a second here. I'll get into those in a moment, all right? But here we go. We have this hanging right here, all right? So basically, there's we have a lot of Disney pins up here, like Star Wars, like Disney Parks pins and things like that. It gets into like Fire Emblem 3 Houses, a bunch of other like sort of random pins that we got. We have pins from our favorite board game, Gloomhaven, one of our favorite board games, Gloomhaven and Frosthaven. And then down here, we have all these Brawlhalla pins. Every single one of these pins right here, I picked up at BCX. Most of them I bought, but for example, I got this Brawl League pin from Expired, of course. I wanted to make sure I got like some rivals, so I have like Artemis and Orion and stuff like that. Wanted to make sure I got Moon and Hugin, Mordex and Diana. Got the Brawlhalla logo. I also got Dander and Ted and Butterscotch. And also this pin right here, I know you can't really see, but this old Brawlhalla logo pin, I got that from Dinohedron as like a thank you on the last day of BCX 2022. And a bunch of other random pins, like, you know, the Nutcracker Museum and like NASA and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so yeah, like I said, we have a pin collection, we have a coin collection. The screen, rip. Oh, sorry. I'll make it to the big screen so I can show off. So I'll tell you what. If after I go through this, if you want to like see the pins more closely, I'm happy to do that. Thanks for stopping by, Labruski. But anyway, but yeah, as always, if there's anything you guys want to look at more closely, I'm happy to like carry it here and then I can talk about it more in detail. So if you want to look at my pin collection, let me know after I'm done going through this video here. Anyway, so, but yeah, this is kind of like where my card game stuff is. So so these pirate ships, there's a game called Pirates the Constructible Strategy game. It's basically like a miniatures game, but it's pirate ships. And you buy these little booster packs of pirate ships, and imagine credit card. You punch out the ship parts, these pieces of plastic, and you assemble the ships, and then you like kind of play with them. You can see there's sea monsters and stuff like that as well. I have a lot of ships. I have like over 100. Most of them are in these boxes down here, but my favorite ones are kind of like on display up on the top here. This is like a little Christmas one that I spent $60 on. Not the wisest purchase, but it was like 5 years ago or whatever. Yeah, so actually, let me see here. So you see that Dominion box down there? That big box is completely empty. Like all the stuff has been taken out of it, and the rest of my ships are in that box, just like squished together in there. Again, if you want to see them, I'm happy to afterwards. But yeah, I have enough to like I have enough stuff. I really love this game. I just don't have much of an opportunity to play it, unfortunately. But this is and this game is out of print as well, so you have to go on like eBay or whatever to like get any more of these. But this is just like a really cool game. Relatively inexpensive in terms of like miniatures go, like wargaming and stuff. But like these are like, you know, repurposed game boxes that have like all the stuff that I need to play like an epic Pirates constructible strategy game, essentially. And they have different factions. There's like English, American, French, Barbary Coast, the Jade Rebellion, which is like China or, you know, that area. All kinds of things. These are I have 3 primary binders with my cards. And I decided to like show off all of the pages. It's going to turn in a little bit, so I'm just going to... Here we go. Okay. So you saw I had an Electrode collection. There we go. But yeah, my Pokemon cards, first of all. This is pretty much like almost like it. These are at least all the Pokemon cards that I really care about. I have a bunch of like other. I also of course have a bunch of bulk as well, but like they're really cool Pokemon cards I have. I gotta say like these, and I turned the pages kind of quickly so that the video isn't too long. But yeah, if you were there when Cobweb and I opened the Obsidian Flames booster box, these were like the hits that we got from it. Some of the hits we got from it, and these two were crazy. Like we got both of these from the same booster box. It was fantastic. Then after all those like really cool like, you know, Pokemon cards that I have, then we get into my OG like late 90s, early 2000s Pokemon cards. I only have like one first edition Shadowless card or something like that. Maybe I have one or two others, but not very many. But these are like these next several pages are a bunch of pages are Pokemon cards that I opened when I was a kid, when me and my sister were kids, and we actually collected the original Pokemon cards. So yeah, I just kind of like turned the pages quickly and all of that. You can kind of see what I have. Actually, here, let me move this. You can actually see all the cards. Yeah, I have them organized by set. So base, jungle, fossil, Team Rocket, gym leader, gym challenge. And then it kind of goes into like, you know, Gen 2 stuff. And I kind of stopped collecting Pokemon cards for, honestly, like many years after that point. But then now I'm getting back into it. So anyway, these are the promo cards I have. I'm especially proud of, like, I got this one from watching the Pokemon movie in theaters. Entei, same as well. Now we're getting into Topps cards as well. So these are just like, I don't have very many of these, but these are just kind of like fun things. Now we're getting into the original Digimon cards, which again, I don't have a lot, but my sister and I played this Digimon card game a number of times. And now we're getting into the new Digimon card game. These were the 2 booster boxes that I opened a couple weeks ago. And I opened these booster boxes because it was the classic collection. They were specifically a callback to the old Digimon card game. That's why I really wanted it. It was the nostalgia factor for me. So these are like all the cool, like alternate art kind of stuff. But I have almost a complete collection of the Digimon Classic collection. I think I'm only missing like 2 cards, and they were like super rares. Yeah, I'm missing only 2 cards, but other than that, I have like a complete... Not counting the alt arts, I have a complete collection. But yeah. Really cool stuff. And that's the end of that binder. There's 2 more binders. We're going to go through them kind of quickly here. Oops. Yeah, sorry. I try to be careful with these, but like, yeah. Yeah, that's like that's like the binder with like the nostalgia in it. The Pokemon, the Digimon in there. So this is, this is the Pirates Constructible Strategy game. And these are like a bunch of like, so you'll kind of see in the booster packs, you get these credit card looking things, or like they're credit card shaped and sized, and they're plastic. But then you punch out pieces from them. And so once you build the ship, you need to have the stats of the ships, and that's what the cards are for. And so I'm kind of pulling out. There are some that are larger, so they kind of take up 2 slots essentially. But that's what it looks like. You see that there's like, there's like the name and the stats and like effects and stuff on there. And then I'm not going to show you all of them because you probably don't know much about, but you can see how it works. There's some lore, like some backstory behind, like in the backs of the cards, and they have like their stats, like how many mass they have, their carrying capacity, how fast they move. That's another thing too. You track movement with the cards themselves. So for example, a ship might say, per turn you can move S plus L. S is the white bar and L is the red bar. Oh yeah, dinosaurs. So basically you use these cards as your ruler to move the ships around and stuff. You also get like crew. There's like special crew members and stuff like that, and they have their own like special effects and all that. There also was a Pirates in the Caribbean crossover, so there's a few that I have. You know, we got Barbossa, you got Admiral James Norrington, Elizabeth Swann. I'm nowhere near a complete collection. I don't plan. There's too many ships to have a complete collection. And it's too hard and too expensive to go on eBay to get all of them. But whenever I have a chance, you know, whatever, I like to get, you know, these ships and whatever. Now, this is like a binder of like my other card. Like this is where I have Yu-Gi-Oh!, the Harry Potter trading card game, and Magic the Gathering. Never really played Yu-Gi-Oh! That much, but these are the cards that I had when I was a kid somehow. So I just kind of collected them. They're organized by set. Fairly old school and everything, as far as I can tell. And now we get into, there was a Harry Potter trading card game, and actually the Digimon one and the Pokemon one, those were the 3 card games that my sister and I played a lot when we were kids. So again, I have complicated feelings about the Harry Potter franchise and the author, but I have memories with this card game, and I do like the art. The art is very charming, and it's very much based on the books and everything. The card game didn't last very long. There's only like about 3 or 4 sets and stuff. But there's like a bunch of like Quidditch cards. Instead of energy cards, you have lessons. You summon creatures. You cast spells. You use like the abilities of people, and like, you know, spell books and wands and broomsticks and whatever. So, oh yeah, here's Magic the Gathering. So I have a couple of like pre-constructed Magic the Gathering decks to be able to play with them. I don't really buy Magic booster packs unless I'm really interested in a particular set. In this case, this is a kind of like box set of, this is like 10 or like 11 booster packs of the D&D, of one of the D&D sets. And so because I love D&D, you know, I wanted to get at least about a dozen booster packs of Magic the Gathering D&D crossover cards. And so we have this, you know, I really liked the references to the monsters and classes, and the lands, I gotta say, are beautiful. And I like that they reference things like the Underdark and Icewind Dale and things like that. These are all the special cards that I got. I love the, like, you know, the old school style that they have for some of these. Also, this land card right here is in the style of like back in like the 80s or 90s or whatever. The way that D&D adventures were published were like these softcover booklets that looked like that. It had this kind of like graphic design to it. And so the fact that they had Magic cards with that design was really cool, I thought. And now we get into just miscellaneous, honestly. I think I just kind of like, as a kid, I just randomly got some of these somewhere. So I used to watch Metabots as a kid, so these are Metabots cards. Never played the game. A Bionicle card. This was my favorite Bionicle, by the way. Onui. I just thought it looked cool. A kind of like a one. This Mario 64 card is one of those where you move it around and it moves a bit. The Monster Rancher, I never watched that. Mark McGuire, I remember he was a big deal back in the day. And I just think the card is cool because the 2 and the 5 are poking out and stuff. More random stuff. So these SCP cards are from a Kickstarter, and I think there's an SCP board or card game that's coming up and stuff. Omega Mart is an installation in Las Vegas that I went to a couple times. This is the little employee card, and it's an immersive art experience. So I have that there. This is a Godric Gryffindor card that I got from a chocolate frog treat a while back. And now we go into these Brawlhalla things. So these are. So I want to even though I already have all of the meta devs, obviously because 2020 and all that, but I want all of the meta dev cards. I don't care about the codes. I just want the metadev cards to complete the card collection. So I have these, and these are the only ones I have right now from 2022. And also I've kept one copy of each of the title codes. Obviously, Lore Master, Victorious, I was there, super cool. BCX, Reveler. Obviously, these codes are already used up, but I wanted as a bit of a memento, I've kept them. So I'm not. So if I've been talking with some devs to try to get a copy of the other metadev cards, and I think it will probably be able to happen. If or when it does happen, I'm going to put them in this part of my binder. I'm going to need to put a new page in, and I'll put it in this part of my binder. This little thing here was made by my sister-in-law. It's kind of like a little present, little business card. Gold level player, diamond level lore master. She just looked at my Twitter account and everything. And then, yeah, also Memento from BCX. All those codes are used up. But yeah, those are my binders, my card binders. I have a bunch of bulk of Pokemon and Digimon cards. I'm gonna try to in this video I try to pull some stuff there. You can see books in there as well. So these two things right here, this is the complete. This is all of my wife's card collection. She doesn't have very many. She only keeps the cards she really, really wants, like the cube cards, any Vulpix cards, EVs, evolutions, and all of that. But she has. I'm gonna show you guys. And I put the phone on the ground to kind of open some things and stuff. So sorry about that. But yeah, I just have some extra if I want to make prototype cards, put a card in a card sleeve and have a card back to them. That's what I keep these for. I keep these to make card prototypes. Millennium Blades is a board game that simulates trading card games. So that's why I use that box. I just kind of put that back and everything. I like to briefly show. I'm not going to show her cards and whatever, but we have that. Oh, I need to. Oop, there we go. So yeah, I gave her that deck one time for Christmas and stuff, and she has that really cute deck box. She loves Vulpix, she loves Eevee. So all of her cards are in those two boxes. Yeah, we got some Tolkien books, some textbooks, some linguistics books, and all that. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, just kind of stuff. And then over here, I have a bunch of those are card sleeves. I have a bunch of them. Extra binder pages. Inside this pink box here is just a bunch of other materials to store cards and whatever. Just a bunch of miscellaneous things. I have two kinds of Pokemon card bulk. I have the bulk that I don't care about and the bulk that I do care about that I want to keep in my collection. This box has the cards I want to keep. I have a bunch of reverse holos and holos in there. Any Kanto Pokemon, I keep pretty much any copy of a Kanto Gen 1 Pokemon that I find. I just like being able to collect those. But yeah, I just have all of those in there. And I just have other Pokemon that I think are cool, like Aegislash and whatever. Not Aegislash, Honedge or whatever. Okay, so this is like a secondary desk. Like right behind this screen here is this desk. It's kind of a hodgepodge of a bunch of different things there. That was the Obsidian Flames like box that we opened. This is the bulk that I don't care about. This is all Pokemon cards. You can kind of see a bit of a discoloration there. These like yellow cards are Pokemon recently changed the color of the edge of their cards. It used to be yellow for like decades, but now all the new cards have a silver border, like a silver or gray colored border. That's why you see a difference in discoloration there. So I have some yellow bulk, but also mostly silver because we've opened several booster boxes. You can see there are 2 Digimon Classic Collection booster boxes. This is the bulk from those 2 boxes. Basically, I took 1 copy of each card and I put it in the binder, and the rest of them are here. So hopefully I can make some kind of like deck with these and maybe other Digimon cards that I get in the future or something. This is the alpha prototype of the Brawlhalla card game that I'm making. It's kind of off to the side. I'm not really using it anymore because the card game is basically in beta right now, and I'm in the process of making a like more improved print version of the beta. But yeah, what I did was I put pieces of paper in a card sleeve, and I put like an actual like playing card in the middle of them so they feel like a real card. So yeah, there's that. That's my phone case. Just random stuff like like old microphone stuff and whatever. Also more stuff not going to show everything in here, but I used to have a Game Boy Color that was clear purple and a Game Boy Advance that was also clear purple. I don't have those in my house, and I don't know where they are. I've been trying to find it in my parents' house, but I can't find them. But I have been able to scavenge these Game Boy things from my childhood, basically. I'm not going to show you all the games. You kind of see like a sampling of the Game Boy games that we had growing up. We have both of the Legend of Zelda Oracle games, by the way, seasons and ages, and stuff. But yeah, I didn't want to like pull everything out, but you can kind of see like got a bunch of stuff in there. Let's see what else. Yeah, I have a trash can there. Yeah, just a bunch of like. So this is like little like bead jewel, like kind of like plastic jewel art. Like it sparkles in the light and whatever. My wife made both of these. It's kind of like a paint by number kind of thing. You just take the little jewel. She's making one. She's in the middle of one now that uses Eevee. That's what all this is. Oh, I didn't show the picture, but it's like all the evolutions on it and stuff. Yeah, just kind of like miscellaneous stuff at my desk. Oh yeah, these are some like old computer games that I played with as a kid that I collected from my parents' house. That Pirates. So you may have noticed, first of all, Myst, as well as that Sid Meier's Pirates game. Those are among my favorite computer games that I played as a kid, and I own both of those games on Steam now. I mean, they were pretty cheap. Why not? Civilization 3 is in there. And then also that shoebox has a bunch of Game Boy accessories and wires. So like, link cables, like the e-reader, like a little light back when Game Boys were not backlit. Just a bunch of random stuff in there. Like Game Boy accessories. We're almost done with this room here. Yeah, I have Curse of Strahd there because that's the D&D adventure that I'm running for, like online for people, a printer obviously. The trophy, like you can see where this is. Like this is basically my setup. My sister-in-law made that. It's hanging up right now. Really lovely. She made that for me for Christmas a couple years ago. I thought that was very nice. That's the signed Brawlhalla poster from BCX 2022. Yeah, so you can see all the signatures on it from the devs and from Sparky. Yeah, that's pretty much this room. We have one room left in this video. This is the game room. Now, our Nintendo Switch, like, we have a living room on like downstairs, and that's where our Nintendo Switch is and everything. So when I say game room, I'm talking like D&D and board games. Okay. So we have this table here, and we also have this nice collection of just stuff. So it's a combination of my stuff, my wife's stuff, and I'm going to show all the board games as well. It's a combination of my stuff, my wife's stuff, and just kind of stuff that we collected together. So my wife has a few signatures of some of her favorite people. And these are like fairly old. These were like, she got these like maybe like 7 or 8 years ago or something like that, maybe 5 years ago, whatever. So Vic Mignogna, you can see she has a signature there. There's a few postcards here that depict some SCP things. This is Mark Shepard from like Supernatural and several other like, you know, British shows and whatever. You can see we also have a bunch of metal plates, smaller metal plates. There's a shop that it's not open anymore, unfortunately. It got closed pretty early, but there was a shop that sold a bunch of like smaller metal plates, and we got a bunch of them. So you can see Darth Vader, you can see Jinx from Arcane, you can see this cool Maleficent thing, and it was local artists too. That's SCP. This is so these metal plates are generally local artists on metal plates, so really cool. This is Link with I'm not entirely sure who that is, but that's like the Twilight Princess Zora armor, right? Just a funny little like gold $100 bill. Obviously a really cute like Baby Yoda, Grogu like artwork. David Tennant, my wife loves David Tennant, and you can see that's him in his Doctor Who garb. Another Vic Mignogna signature, this time with Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist, because, you know, voice of that, right? Another SCP thing, this is the Gate Guardian, I'm pretty sure. This, we've never been to Iceland. This was just like a little like fake souvenir from like a little, this comes from a escape room in a box kind of thing. Yeah, who doesn't love David Tennant? Yeah. So this poster came from an escape room in a box that was like Iceland themed. Like there was an Iceland map, trail map, and stuff like that in it. So just kind of had that in there. So we thought it looked nice. A couple of Legend of Zelda things here. I really like this one. So this Link with his motorcycle, referring to, I think it was Akira, right? The Akira show. Of course, Majora's Mask. And then lots of Pokemon like booster like promo booster like boxes have like oversized cards, and I really wanted this Electrode one, and so I just think Electrode is cool, and I especially love Hisuian Electrode. I love his face, so I have that one hanging there. This is Cobweb with several friends and family with Matt Smith at like a Comic Con something kind of convention thing from a while back. She looks a bit younger here, but yeah, Matt Smith as in the Doctor Who actor. So there's that. That's fun. This is Howl from Howl's Moving Castle. It took me a while to figure this out. This is either, I'd like to think this is Strahd von Zarovich, classic D&D vampire villain, or you can say it's Dracula, whatever kind of a thing. Just a lovely little fantasy postcard. That's the Red Scarlet King from SCP, artist rendition. But yeah, now we're getting into like the games we have on display here. So I used to have all the board games organized according to the player count. So like all the 1 and 2 player games were together and stuff like that. But now they're more organized thematically. And so you can see I have a bunch of like Keyforge is a very fun game, but I can't justify buying a bunch of Keyforge decks. There you can see there's some Magic the Gathering things here. There's 2 pre-constructed decks, and there's 2 more that are tiny, like they are workable Magic the Gathering pre-constructed decks. Some escape room kind of stuff, and also some classics down there: Clue, Backgammon, Scrabble. This is Risk and Stratego in the kind of like wooden book box things. It's got like Firefly Flux. My wife loves Firefly. We have a bunch of little posters we have not hung up. But yeah, Firefly Flux, Great Dalmuti, Star Flux, others just kind of like, puzzly sort of things. Gloom, Love Letter, Coup, Guillotine. I'm very happy with that I own Tellstones. Tellstones is a League of Legends thing. It's a game that exists in the League of Legends, in Runeterra, in the League of Legends world. And that's basically like the Demacia version. There's only, you can only buy the Demacian version. It's the only one available. But, it's stylized to be as if it's from Demacia. So it's this really cool, thing. These are, print and play games. You print the cards on paper, you cut them out, and you put them in card sleeves with a playing card. and you have these. So these are like fighting game, like fighting game or strategy, like little card games. Also, Rockstricity. He and his friend do a podcast called Gravity Cancel, not Causalix's Gravity Cancel podcast, but they have their own. Rox made a Brawlhalla card game that plays a lot like kind of like Battle Uno a while back, so I printed that. It's also on Tabletop Simulator if you want to play it. And now we get into, okay, so this is a dice tower right here. Really cool dice tower as well as these are chairs for your D&D dice. You can see there's like a throne with a crown, and then there's a timeout chair with a dunce cap. So, you know, if your dice have been good to you or bad to you, I don't have a dice jail, not yet, but we have these here. Really like Espeon plushie. I got this for Cobweb for like Christmas a few years ago, and she was very, very happy with it. She loved it. Now we just kind of get into all these, like, we had to repurpose some boxes for a couple of these games, but yeah. Just kind of going off the top row here, we have Splendor and the expansion Splendor. Other kind of like random things. This is Star Wars Trivial Pursuit, by the way. Disney Code Games, Cover Your Kingdoms, pun intended. We really enjoy the Red Dragon Inn, where you play as adventurers, gambling and drinking together between adventures. And so we have a few characters. These are all of our Munchkin expansions. Super Munchkin, Munchkin Legends, Munchkin Apocalypse, Munchkin Nightmare Before Christmas, Munchkin Booty, which is Pirate, Munchkin Game Changers, which is like little expansions, and then original Munchkin. Three Dragon Ante is like a D&D like it's like D&D like poker cards essentially. I got them because it's a fun prop to have. Alolan Vulpix, as well as a cool like Dragon Hourglass, and Star Realms. Star Realms is one of my favorite games as well. So we have like all the Star Realms expansions in there. We've been getting into Villainous recently. So we have Star Wars Villainous, Marvel Villainous, and we have Villainous with Boba Fett, and we have a couple of Disney Villainous as well. We don't plan on getting all the Villainous ones, just the ones that have the villains that we care about, like, you know, like anyway, yeah. But I think, you know, Disney Villainous is really cool, and you know, Marvel Villainous has like Thanos and Killmonger and stuff. Star Wars Villainous has like General Grievous and Darth Vader. The Disney Villainous stuff that we have has like Maleficent and Dr. Facilier and Captain Hook and bunch of other cool characters. My wife likes Disney villains. We're getting into some of our like sort of Cthulhu-esque games. Mansion of Madness, Eldritch Horror, Mysterium is a fun one. So yeah, Mysterium Park. This Tower of Madness here, it's basically, you know that game where you put a bunch of sticks in a tower and then dump marbles in, and you pull sticks out and hope that marbles don't fall out. That's what this is, but with a Cthulhu theme. And it's like the sticks are tentacles poking out of the clock tower. We have pretty much all of the Betrayal at the House on the Hill things, most of them anyway. By the way, this Cthulhu thing, we have Pandemic, the board game. And I didn't really like, Pandemic is a very well designed game. And I even played Pandemic Legacy because a friend wanted me to, but it was just kind of too real. You know, I'm not a fan of that. So we have Cthulhu, which is Pandemic but Cthulhu. And I'm fine with that because that leans more into the kind of like fantastical theme, whatever. Betrayal House on the Hill, we have the original with the Widow's Walk expansion. We have the D&D Betrayal, which is at Baldur's Gate. Betrayal Legacy, this was our very first Legacy game. Legacy as in, like, you play a game and, like, you play the game multiple times over, and it's like a campaign, and you put stickers on the board, or you rip some cards apart that you're not going to use anymore and stuff. That was our first Legacy game. And once we came across Legacy games, we were like, we need more of these. So we have several more Legacy games, which you'll see later. So this is level 99 game stuff. Bullet Orange, Bullet Heart, Bullet Star. It's all the same game, just like different characters. So Bullet is Toho, the board game. That's basically what it is. It doesn't use Toho characters, but it is incredibly like heavily inspired by it. It does have some unique like puzzly like aggressive puzzly mechanics, but the idea is it's a board game that's very heavily inspired by Toho, Bullet Hell. All the characters are these like anime like heroines kind of thing, original characters by these game designers. It's really cool. Millennium Blade, like I said, is a really awesome game that simulates not just playing competitive like trading card games, but buying, selling, and trading. Like the whole thing is in there, the whole experience. So you can save a lot of money by playing Millennium Blade and getting the whole experience instead of buying a bunch of booster packs. Gloomhaven, probably the most probably the most famous and most popular like legacy game out there. It's like a gritty fantasy dungeon crawler, and it's a lot. Those you can see those board and Frosthaven is kind of like the sequel. It takes place in the north. We still need to complete. We pretty much completed the Gloomhaven campaign. We need to complete the Frosthaven one, but it takes up the whole table. Like it's ridiculous. Sakura Arms is a really cool fighting card game. That's like you're just and by fighting game I mean like the kind of game like kind of like Street Fighter kind of thing where like you're on a plane and you're like going back and forth. Except these are all a bunch of like really cool. This is a game from Japan, and Level 99 Games is distributing it in English. Really, really cool, elegant mechanics. I love it. I wish I could play this game more often. Argent the Consortium is basically you're trying to be the next headmaster of a magical university. You can see why that appeals to me. Another legacy game, Aeon's End. We have, and also more Gloomhaven. We have pretty much all the Aeon's End stuff and all the Gloomhaven stuff. Even like these Gloomhaven things down there, that's fan made. Like those are not official, but we have them. We love those games a lot. We played through the Aeon's End legacy games. Actually, I think Aeon's End might be the first legacy game we've ever played. But yeah, anyway, we played that, and now we move into the closet. And there's more in here. Okay, so in here, this is where our costumes are for now. My wife wants to make more costumes, but you can kind of see in there, that's where my Baron costume is residing for now. And I do plan on wearing that at BCX, by the way. That white dress, my wife wore that this past Halloween as she was Samara, the girl from The Ring that climbs out of the TV and all that. So yeah. Oh yeah, Sora, I announced that I'm going to BCX. My circumstances changed, and I'm now able to go. So I'm really excited. So you have costume stuff in here. We have like puzzle books, jigsaw puzzles. These are like a couple of like wand cases and stuff. And most of this stuff is thank you, Sora. Most of this stuff is like tabletop role playing game, like D&D kind of stuff. A bunch of card props, a bunch of dice. Like this gray bag, this bag here is nothing but dice. That box is like most of the dice that I tend to use. And we have a bunch of other supplies here, a bunch of like books and like tiles. Like we have a small collection of like magnetic tiles that we purchased from a neighbor. These are all dice right here. This is from like most of these are from Polyhero dice. They make dice shaped like weapons. So you can kind of see like there's an arrow, there's like a shield, a lock, a grenade, and a wizard hat and stuff like that. So there's a wizard set, a fighter set, a rogue set, and a cleric set. And we're also getting the they're making a bard set as well. And so I definitely got that. I don't use those dice very much, but I'm happy to have them. I just like using them as kind of like these fun dice to have. Here's where we keep a bunch of kind of like lore books, essentially. So Firefly. These three are SCP books from a Kickstarter, and it's just a bunch of selected SCPs with a bunch of like artwork with them. Gloomhaven book. We have Lord of the Rings puzzle. These fun little Star Wars, like they light up if you like hit them on the ground and stuff. These are some Star Wars books. So this is, if you haven't heard, this is something amazing. So William Shakespeare's Star Wars. This is the original trilogy as if William Shakespeare wrote it. Obviously, William Shakespeare did not write it, but someone who is both a Star Wars fan and a lover of Shakespeare has written all of the Star Wars movies in Shakespeare play form. I'm not even kidding. I only have the original trilogy here, but they do have all the Star Wars movies written in this format, and it's glorious. These are like Star Wars lore books, so this is like the Jedi Handbook, a Sith Handbook and stuff, the Imperial Handbook, Bounty Hunters, Smugglers, and there's like there's like there's the character notes written in most of these, written in these things, and of course the Zelda books, Hyrule Historia, Zelda Encyclopedia, and art and artifacts. I know there are some other like Zelda books for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I don't have those. I know that like especially Hyrule Historia is quite dated now, but I still like having them. They're cool books to have, and I love them. We do not have a lot of minis. This is like all the minis we have, unless you count ones that are in like board games. But most of these minis, I had printed at a 3D printer thing like locally. We don't have a 3D printer, but I found one locally and I paid for 3D printing. Most of these minis, like most of the gray ones, are for the fan-made Gloomhaven games specifically. So you'll see some like kind of crazy designs, and I know you can't see very well, but yeah, a couple of other extra ones. I made this one a while back. It's not very good. And then this mini right here, I took part in a kind of like D&D convention game that was like everyone was like fighting a big battle of undead, and this was like a miniature that I was a dungeon master for that. One of like a couple hundred dungeon masters, several hundred dungeon masters. But yeah, each of the dungeon masters got this mini, which was cool. And now we're getting into like TTRPG stuff. So I've got some obscure ones here. Weave is a tarot card based TTRPG. Burning Wheel is like an old kind of like an older one. This long one I found at a thrift store. It's called Alpha and Omega. It's kind of a weird like cyberpunk fantasy kind of thing. I love both of these games. Edge of the Empire, which is Star Wars, specifically like think of like the Mandalorian or Boba Fett or Book of Boba Fett, Star Wars. Like the smugglers, the bounty hunters on the fringes of the Empire, kind of a thing, or on the fringes of society. That's what Edge of the Empire focuses on. Legend of the Five Rings is basically fantasy Japan, with like magic and like samurai and all that kind of stuff. Really cool stuff. Fantasy Flight Games makes some cool stuff. But yeah, I was trying to find the name of that one. This is 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons stuff. So my parents like several years ago found these at a thrift store, and they're like, "Hey, you play D&D, right?" They didn't know it was an older edition. I played 5th edition, but this is just like a bunch of like extra like tokens, and I was able to get well, and one of the boxes, I was actually able to get a physical deck of many things. So I have that now, thanks to that. Index Card RPG is a really cool RPG. Index Card RPG is the system that I'm using for the Brawlhalla TTRPG. I think it's a really, really cool, flexible system that is very much in line with the kind of like fun adventure ethos that Brawlhalla has. There's a couple dice bags on top of this. These are the dice for the Star Wars and Legend of the Five Rings games. And of course, you can see on the bottom almost all of my D&D books. I don't have all of them. There are several supplemental books that I don't have, but if it is if it is a core rule book, if it is a published adventure, if it is a core published adventure, or if it is like a supplemental book that has some new races, classes, whatever in them, or magic items, or if I just think the book is cool, we get it. So obviously Curse of Strahd is not in here because it's in it's in the office here, and also there's one other book that's not here, and that's Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and that's because I'm running that at work. So, but all the other D&D books that we have are here. I am familiar with most of these books. There are a few that I've not read yet, but I have run almost all of these adventures, like sometimes multiple times. So I'm very familiar with this collection. These are well-read books. So yeah, and I think that's actually pretty much it. I know it's a lot of talking and stuff. But that's pretty much where and I kind of like end the video back here at the library. And I'll do a little wave there. So there you go. Oops. So yeah, that is the tour part of our program, and I pretty much already did AMA. Unless there are any other questions you guys have, thank you. I hydrated earlier, and thank you for the reminder again. I got my fruit punch. Yeah, I didn't really have anything else planned. Been streaming for 2.5 hours. I think that's actually honestly pretty good. I was thinking of playing either Brawlhalla or the librarian game Book of Hours after this. I might do that on my own time. Streaming is a little bit tiring because you gotta sit up straight and put up a front. Well, not a front, but like you're kind of performing a little bit and all that and talking a lot. So yeah, thank you all so much for coming to this 12,000 X Twitter follower celebration stream. This is fantastic. I know we had some technical difficulties, or you didn't see the technical difficulties. They didn't happen clearly, but we got this working, which is fantastic. And also, we even got a raid of 48 people as well, which is amazing. So thank you all so much. And I do want to say, kind of in closing, I feel like there's a lot that I could say to express my appreciation for the Brawlhalla community, but I will say this. This is really nothing new. I've said this before, but I know I have 12,000 followers. It has never felt like I've had more than 1,000, because obviously a lot of the I feel like most of the content that I make is fairly humble compared to like serious content creators. Like I don't really edit my videos. I have like very basic equipment and everything like that, but I basically just kind of make do with what I have, and what I've done apparently, I know there's some bots in my Twitter following. There's giveaway accounts in that Twitter following, and I'm lucky if any of my posts on Twitter get more than like 20 likes or something like that. So it's not like I'm a huge deal or anything outside of Brawlhalla. But I'm okay with that. I think I'd be incredibly stressed if I were considered more of a bigger deal. If I were like in the level of like Sandstorm or goodness for or like Swift or Swirpy or something. But I like, this is in spite of this large following, having like a smaller activity is much more manageable for me, and I'm very, very grateful for that. I definitely do not take it for granted, because I know, this kind of, my position as a sort of influencer and content creator, it honestly could end at any time. I don't know when. Brawlhalla could end tomorrow. Something could happen where people could suddenly be upset at me for some reason, on drama online. I don't even know. I try to avoid it, but things can happen. I very much appreciate it, and yeah, I feel like I've honestly just got the best of both worlds, of being able to be a full-time librarian with a family, and just kind of having this wonderful community to be a part of. So thank you, and I hope you all have a fantastic evening. For me, morning, afternoon, depending on where you are. And yeah, I will say I've got a bunch of things. I've got several projects planned for BCX. I hope to get several things done by BCX. I'll post about that in the next week or so, to kind of like say, this is what I'm planning to do. I'll be more specific about that. And you have to drive soon. Well, good luck, Hyena. I also will say that in terms of content that's not related to like what I want to do for BCX, oh boy, Hyena. In terms of content that's not related directly to BCX, I have a lore theory stream that I've been kind of teasing for a while. I just need to record it. I need to sit down and just like do it. Hopefully I do that in the next week or so. Just to talk about what I think we might, like my predictions about like what's going on with the lore, especially after everything we've seen with Battle Pass Season 8, or that we are seeing. I plan on doing that in like a week or so, and yeah, I'm gonna get all of my BCX tickets. And I'm looking for a twos partner, by the way, for BCX. I want to compete in ones and in twos, if possible, just for fun. I'm not going to get very far. But yeah, thank you guys, all of you, and I hope you all have a fantastic morning, evening, afternoon, whatever. I asked Cobweb. I asked her. She doesn't want to be a competitor. She's going to be a spectator. She's going to buy a spectator ticket, but not a competitor ticket. So I need someone other than her. Yeah, I know. But yeah, thank you all, and until next time, all the best. You guys are fantastic. Yeah, take care. Bye.